Welcome back, everybody, to the Sexy Business Podcast. We've got a special episode for you, but let's introduce our contestants. Contestant number one is myself, Spooky Dangerous, and joining with us always, putting up with us ever, is Lewd Neko. Say hello.
I'm gonna win $5,000.
And you know who else is winning $5,000 very slowly is Mallard in the building. Say hello.
Hello. Hi. Sorry, I'm ill. Hello.
Welcome in. We'll be very polite to you, I promise. But this episode, we're going to be talking about the Grand Butt Sex Hotel. And as you can probably guess by the vibe, it's going to be very chaotic. Now, Grand Butt Sex Hotel was a Patreon exclusive game for a little while, and it's only just recently gone onto itch.io and will eventually go onto Steam once we've developed it a bit further, because we like trying to hit that 2-hour threshold before people start to complain that the game is too short. And coupled with the efforts of Marcy, we have put together what is possibly the most chaotic adult game in existence. There's just so many times when we're like, what if we did this absolutely cooked thing, and then we just kind of enter a yes and death spiral, and then even more crazier, chaotic things happen. And so for a while, I've been trying to get Marcy on the show so we can talk about kind of, not so much like what the process is like, but kind of how we arrive at the end goal of putting together this crazy game. So we did kind of want to, run through and talk to you about your process and some of your ideas and maybe some, thoughts about the future. But why don't we start by introducing you and how you got here?
26 years ago. No, it would have been like closer to 27. My mum and my dad, they were fucking going at it. And then like I fell out a little bit later. And it's just kind of been downhill from there. I started what I do? I've been doing like a lot of creative writing. Hi, I'm Marcy / Marcy Mallard / Mallard. I don't care what you call me. It's so fine. Names is relative. Don't perceive me. I've been doing creative writing for a long ass time. Whether it's just like regular stuff for myself, cringy AO3 things back in the day, or just like D&D, TTRPG stuff with like a bunch of people. I'm like the designated forever DM. Anytime I'm sort of doing the sort of social roleplay stuff. So that's always been like a big thing for me. Always painfully creative. I couldn't do sports, but I got A's in English. That's all well and good. I was actually never really had the intention to do writing for like smutty, not safe for work stuff, apart from the occasional indulgent AO3 thing. That actually came around a long while ago, where a pretty big artist on Twitter, on their like Instagram story at one point was like, "Hey, I want like a not safe for work fan fiction about like my OCs. Who can I pay?" And I was like, many years ago, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I wrote up like a little prompt, sent it through them, and went, hey, how's this? And they're like, that's so cool. And I did that. It was essentially them, the OC, which is their self-insert, Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan, and they were both in the cyberpunk setting. And I did that. I did that at a rate of 1.5 Australian cents per word. And that was a fun one, and that was a silly one, which really got me into doing, sort of smut for like an audience. And then I kind of went onwards from there. But the thing that I think's equal parts funny and cursed about that is Lord of the Flies, very famous curse literature. That Lord of the Flies, I think from memory, was around 42,000 words. It's like a very, very significant book. That fucking fanfic was 53,000 words before it was put down. So that's mind-boggling to me. Anyway, did that. Was like, there's money in smart, so just started doing that where possible, but of course, longer form stuff, it was harder to get an audience. Got inspired by just doing little caption stuff. I guess I was in a graphic design kick at the time as well as like a wordy kick, and it felt this sort of captioning style of art, it's transformative, it's this or that. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but when I do it, I always credit artists to the best of my ability, and always just try to get attention to anyone that's involved in that process. But that kind of just stuck. So that was originally meant as practice for doing larger pieces. It was a fun sort of improv thing. Just, hey, here's an image, spawn 150 words from this, throw it all together, upload it. That was an exercise. But slowly I realized people preferred the exercise over just longer form stuff. I don't think that's everyone, but I think if you're trying to gather an audience on a place so attention span drain, like Twitter or whatever, that's probably the way to go about it. So yeah, I did that, and then I've just kind of been doing a lot of smut since, whether it's long-term commissions, whether it's stuff with THM. Yeah, sorry, that's I think the first time on the internet I've ever actually explained how I got here. So apologies for the rambling, but yeah, that's me. Hello, hi.
Rambling is good.
We love the rambling. All right, so you've done a lot of work with working on captions, and now you're working on an entire game, which is like a pretty big jump to make. What has that been like so far for you to actually have like specific characters and kind of a story and a plot that you need to build?
I adore it. I think the unfortunate thing is, or the reality of the kind of spot I found myself in on the internet is, if I could just do larger narratives, that's what I would be doing. I like foreshadowing. I like building on characters. I like looking at these long stories I've created and then going, okay, this thing that I've made, how would I improve on this in the future? I feel like there's only so much you can refine that with 100 to 150 words. Doing this is cathartic. Longer, like, style narratives, that's my bread and butter. Like, I'm very lucky to have the following I do and the supporters I do. If I could just have this same level of support from like writing comedic or horror narratives that aren't smutty, I'd be doing that. That doesn't mean I dislike what I'm doing now. That's not the case at all. I like what I'm doing and I'm very lucky with it. But longer narratives, that is my bread and butter. So I'm really happy with what I'm doing.
So it sounds like comedy and horror are like your preferred genres of choice.
Absolutely. I love mixing the two where possible. I think there's a lot of fun in that. Comedy, of course, really shows through in Grand Butt Sex Hotel. But why don't make the name so long? However, it shows through in that aspect. But I do really, really enjoy horror and the visceral reactions from horror. I think the fun thing about horror and comedy is that they are things in a narrative, but that if you play with it well enough, that is an immediate reaction you feel when reading it. And I think they are so much more effective in getting a quick response and tone than, say, like something sad, which requires a sort of builds up or connection. I think they're cool. I think we need more of it in everything possible.
I mean, if you think about it, erotica is almost like the kind of like inverse of horror, where like functionally they're both about arousal. They're just about different kinds of arousal, because horror gets an instant reaction, and then erotic works also get an instant reaction, just a very different kind of one. I would honestly listen. Spooky next game horror, and you can really emphasize like the horror part of that. And
yeah, Neko consulting on how we can make a truly spooky and dangerous game.
Finally. Now, when it comes to like your actual like writing process, like what does that look like? Are you like a by the seat of your pants, just put shit on the page and try to revise it later? Do you like to plan stuff out and like slowly work through it? Something different?
always planning in advance, whether I like it or not. When my head hits the pillow and I'm going to sleep for the night, that's when ideas show up. It's always then where I get the most ideas, whether it be writing porn, writing this game, writing like a D&D setting for my friends. That's when all of that comes through. I don't although the writing style of like a sort of consistent stream of consciousness is a thing that's been done well respected, that's a very like famous like David Lynch technique, is just this writing a narrative that's a constant just line of thought. Because a lot of what I do I get paid for, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I feel like people are paying me for something I can't fly by the seat of my own pants. I need to work to an extent where people are getting their money's worth. And I feel that comes a lot from structure and actually thinking about these stuff prior, or thinking about these things prior. Which is like ironic considering how much of what comes out of my mouth is just garbage. I do hold a lot of value in what people are giving me legal tender for, especially in like this day and age where shit's expensive. Everything's kind of going a bit wonky here and there. So yeah, no, I strangely calculating a lot of the writing stuff and a lot of the things I undergo. A lot of thought goes into it. Even like at an absurd time this morning, I think it was like 5 a.m. I sent Spooky like a, hey, by the way, this is like stuff that I've actively thought of regarding the setting that I just haven't told you yet. Okay, bye. That's
stuff
like.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
sometimes it'd be like, hey, I want to be able to put this piece of art or this kind of scene into the plot line. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is more short-term things because I know that I need to navigate when and what the artist is doing. But I'm able to just fully trust and give you the reins to worry about whatever the kind of longer-term stuff is. But we also, like, worked together on what each character kind of embodies and what they're doing here, because we do have a lot of pretty different ones for what their interest is or what their temperament is like or how they interact with the setting or how they interact with the main character, kind of a thing. So I think, did you actually want to kind of go through maybe some of the process of coming together with the characters as well?
So I think with the characters, the original thing that sort of happened is I did 3 mock-ups, and I was like, "What about these characters?" And Spooky was like, perhaps." And then I was like, "Okay, cool." So that was kind of where we started from. I don't have the references right in front of me, but it was just like a tied, neat lady, a bitchy businesswoman, and what would become Cookie later on. So those were the 3 starters, and then I had a friend help me do up the other like 7 other lady prompts, and then I was like, okay, what here is hitting and what here is inspirational, or more so inspiring, not inspirational. This ain't, I'm not Gandhi. I write porn, and so going from there, it was just audience feedback. It was what did people like looking at? What did me and Spooky like looking at? And although, and this isn't a jab. This is just like highlighting the creative process. I have sort of clear ideas of how I view these characters, and then Spooky, who's of course paying me to kind of write this narrative, write these general characters, so he can also get what's malleable and form it into something that suits his audience. It was, okay, well, we need to change this about this character, maybe smash these characters together. Cookie's like an amalgamation of 2 sort of original character concepts. Susie evolved very quickly from being ditzy into being psychotic. Cass has not changed, which is really funny. It was just he's just a crazy, questionable bitch, and I was like, yeah, cool, perfect, send it, print it, let's go. Whereas Maeve, the upcoming character, is also sort of like a mishmash character. Originally, she was meant to have this 50s perfect trad wife aesthetic, and that ended up being sort of Cookie's motif instead of getting aspects of this original bad bitch persona. It's a lot of chopping and changing, or more so me going to Spooky and like, here's a bunch of ideas, and Spooky going, okay, cool, sounds good. Let's make Frankensteins with big Fuda cocks. And I'm like, yeah, all right, sounds good. And then moving on from that point, it really is, I think for the most part, bringing a lot of ideas or aspects, concepts, skeletons of ideas to Spooky. And because, of course, this is his audience, this is something that he's paying me for, although I am very prideful in the setting I've made. I understand, like, okay, yeah, cool. I'm here to facilitate some stuff, but ultimately I'm providing a service, and I think that's an important thing to have. I think it's important to remain that humble. I'm not the director. A lot of people kind of get pretty fixated on their original design and go, no, it has to stay like this. So I think all in all, sorry, I'm rambling again, but all in all, here's a bunch of ideas. It's Spooky pulling apart and putting together what works best for him and his audience, and then I'm happy to go from there.
I think it works really well. There's like a lot of the. I feel like I do give you a lot of creative freedom. I like don't feel like I'm holding your hand the whole time. I don't feel like I'm overriding anything so much. A lot of it is just like, does this come too close to something else that we're working on, or does this hit on a particular touchstone that we're trying to reach, or does it overlap too much with the previous character? Because like Susie, for example, like you said, she did kind of start out kind of ditzy. We wanted her to be kind of head empty, and that's why she lets the bellboy get into all of these situations, and she just kind of allows it to happen, which has instead progressed into more of like she understands his role and she needs to keep him able to do that role because he's really important. It's just that the thing that he does sucks big time. And so she's just ended up in this constant having to deal with all these crazy guests because that's her job, but then also trying to manage the main character in how he's going to be going through everything. But like a lot of the time, I'll get hit with a DM that's like, what if we did this crazy thing? I'm like, that sounds awesome. What if it was also this or whatever? And so sometimes it does feel like we're just kind of building up to what is the game now.
Yeah, which goes to say as well is, before I maybe talk too much about the like, hey, here's ideas and here's how it changes, there is a lot of stuff that I bring forward which is utter drivel and nonsense that doesn't get tweaked at all. And that's so funny, so entertaining, so fantastic, and such a wonderful opportunity to write comedy in such a wanton, visceral way, which is something that's near and dear to my heart, and also I get paid for it. Like that is something that I'm very, very lucky for, and I think it is a very, very fantastic motivation. Which goes to say, like, part of what I get paid, at least, and how I view it is, I do think I get paid well for what I do here, especially because it's something I enjoy doing so much. Which is why, as soon as Spooky is like, "Hey, here's new update details," that takes priority over all my other like smart projects at the time or anything else I'm working for. It's okay, cool. We need to work on this update, and that's when I go, okay, cool. I'll drop everything and I'll work on this now.
Yeah, we're a month in front right now.
What?
We're a month in front right now. I've got all of what you've written and implemented for next month's update already done.
Yeah, I'm a bit fucked up, sorry.
But it goes to really drive your point home that, yeah, it is a priority because you've finished next month's thing already, and we can be planning and working on whatever the next thing is. I can have art being cooked and prepared and ready, and what is happening not next month but the month after is a frankly psychotic thing that I got really excited about to have Cass do. I don't know, let's not spoil it, but it's really funny where it was like, hey, let's try this, and it again turned into a yes and thing, and now we're going to have another really silly but still kind of dommy mommy torturously fun seed coming up.
There was one time I tiredly looked at my phone at I think like 10 o'clock at night. Because I'm just tired all the time at the moment, but kind of looking at my phone and Spooky being like, we need to have mention of CBT. And I kind of went, okay. And just went to sleep.
I mean, I guess that ties into one of our other questions, which is like, what do you find the most challenging when it comes to either like writing just in general, but especially with erotic writing?
Erotic writing, I think from the get-go, there's already a level of difficulty for me in that I'm pretty fervently asexual to an extent. I'm on medication, various ones that's sort of new to all sense of sort of sexual gratification. So that's maybe TMI, but also my internet presence is a JPEG, so that's fine. I don't mind. But like in saying that, smut in total or smut in general is pretty foreign a concept to me. Again, I do it because it's like convenient and it's fun and it's like it is a challenge, and that's a big aspect as to why I do it is a little bit challenging. When I write smut, it feels like I'm writing abstract comedy, or in some cases, depending on what the kinks are, it feels like I'm writing like abstract European horror. It feels so far beyond what I would consider sexual, and it just enters this other realm entirely. So already, smut's kind of like there is that sort of innate challenge to me where it's like, do people like this? And then I see the like number go up, and I see people in my DMs go, "Oh, mommy, step on my balls," and I'm like, "Oh, fuck, okay, I guess I'm doing something all right here." So already there's a level of disconnect between me and what I'm writing, but it's still fun and people are enjoying it. Challenging stuff after that, there's some kinks I cannot fathom and I'll never understand. You know that clickhole meme where it's like Shigeru Miyamoto and it's like he's like porn games are bad game design. What do you mean like you won't last 5 minutes? That's the purpose. What do you mean? Put the Shigeru Miyamoto meme on screen. Look, that's just how I feel about chastity as a whole. I don't get this. For me, it's also very difficult to describe because for me, I'm like, A, I can't wear one of these. B, what is the sensation of not feeling sensation? Or it's this feeling of constriction, but it's like in one little small place that I can't really fathom the physical feeling of. So it's difficult. Chastity sucks, which is funny because that's like what I've written the most about. I was on Cufflinks and Cages. And that was difficult. It was fun.
That we have here at THM as well.
Oh, change it, swap it out, get something new. That one's really difficult. Armpits I hate because armpits to me it's like this is just barely erogenous, but not erogenous enough that this is easy to write about, but not erogenous enough that it feels like abstract horror again. Feet is like weird European horror to me. It's like this fascination over something that to me is so sort of separated from being sexual that it's interesting to write about. It's like writing a fetish for a guy that loves doorknobs. Like that is so fun and silly to me where I'm like, yeah, I'll write about this. Armpits, it's like, what do I say here? Oh, it stinks. Oh, it smells good. Then what? It's just like another part of your body. I don't get it. Armpits suck. Chastity sucks. I probably shouldn't say that on this channel. But like those are the things that I think I have the biggest difficulty with as a whole. But also borderline just smut in general because like I don't relate to any of this. Man, like I'm doing it because it's fun and it's entertaining and it's a fun writing challenge. Also because it gets me a cheddar. But apart from that, like it's chastity because I don't know how to describe not feeling anything. Yeah, sorry, more rambling. But that's the difficulty.
And then I guess inversely, what have been like some of your favorite moments from erotic writing? And this could be things that you've done for THM, or it could just be like captions or other things that you've worked on.
Favorite part, and this is, I'm not making a good case for myself here, but usually the aspects in smut that aren't smutty. My favorite, because again, like I am so lucky to be doing what I'm doing, but in an idyllic world, I would just be doing this with the same level of support for like horror, long term horror narratives. In this instance, fuck, what was the question again?
What are just some moments or particular things you have enjoyed?
Yeah, that was the question. Things that are just like sure, this scenario is innately sexual, but here's just like something that completely cuts through that entirely. I did like a little, as an example, a little silly caption that was all just like, ooh, I'm a femboy, he. But then it ended with like, join the military. This roundabout like, you are not immune to propaganda. This roundabout silliness where it's like, and I think, porn does also lend itself to silliness. That's where we get the phrase porn acting. That's where we get this, and that. It's this stuff in porn which isn't pornographic is what I find the most entertaining, or what I find the most silly. Uh, yeah, sorry, that might be a little bit of a cop-out answer, or a bit of a vague one, but
I don't think so.
there are moments in there are moments in THM where there are things sexual, but of course there are side gags where it while still being promiscuous, it's just stupid. And I like that, and that's the stuff. Again, it's abstract comedy. It's things that I hold very near and dear that I was like raised on. So always those aspects surrounding everything else.
But it's also like you're building a connection with the characters and through telling the story, like either through the main character or through the viewer. Because sharing comedy with someone is also kind of like a key part of connection, or like sharing a vulnerability or whatever. And then even if what is happening is very silly, it can also be relatable. It can also be, ways to learn about different characters and stuff like that. And making them feel like real people that can also be silly and it isn't serious all the time. Because that is a problem that some of the other THM games have, is that they are always trying to be very serious. It's like, yes, in this game, this is where you fuck and the porn and the cum. And it kind of has to ignore some of the other regular human stuff. Whereas when you are able to build a connection with some of these characters, it can make what the actual sexy scenes are more important. And that's what, like, we see some of the most chronic and most powerful waifus, is because people have built a connection with such a character and they're really excited to see them whenever they show up in other media or a figure comes out or whatever.
Absolutely. I think. Sorry, I'm circling back to a thing before, because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, holy fuck, you're so right. We was talking earlier, of course, about like the visceral reactions to thing, or a visceral immediate neuron reaction, monkey see banana, of sort of comedy and horror, and then Neko being like, yeah, porn does that too. I'm kind of been stuck here in awe, like, holy shit, you're right. It all makes so much fucking sense. What the hell? Yeah, sorry. Not super related to what you just said. I had to like. I'm sitting here in awe. Hold on. There's one fucked Simpsons picture of Bart with his mouth open, like looking down at the dinner table, and that's what I felt like for like 15 minutes now.
Accidentally just dropped some wisdom and then moved on.
Yeah, but it's so correct, and it's so like, that's gonna stick with me. That's so interesting.
All right. And then I think that brings us to our final, most important question. Who is your waifu and or husbando?
In Red Dead Redemption 2, there is a silly man that shows up with a mustache called, fuck, I forgot his name. Hold on, give me a second. I can't hold on and Google at the same time. Phil for me.
Okay, so Red Dead Redemption surely is a period piece of a game, and I'm imagining a certain silhouette of a man. I imagine most of them have mustaches, but that's going to help me pick them out of a lineup.
Trelawney, Josiah Trelawney, the guy with the big top hat that's like, oh, my dear boy. Oh, fuck, he can get it. I like him a lot. There's a section where he's like been beat up and his hair's all messy and there's like blood on his shirt, and I'm like, oh, yeah, him. He's my husband, a whimsical little soothsayer that's also just like a freak, like that guy a lot.
Amazing. All right, Neko, do you want to help us close? Tell everyone all the buttons that they can click.
Yeah, so you've just listened to us ramble about erotic writing for like 30 minutes. So that means you like our podcast. So you should go ahead and click that subscribe button and make sure to turn the notifications on so that way you can get notified each week when we upload a new episode. And feel free to leave us a comment down below if you have some thoughts about erotic writing or caption writing, or if you're familiar with any of Marcy's work. And also take some time to check out Marcy's stuff. They are on all sorts of different websites. They've got a link tree. I don't know if we'll be able to link it because YouTube does not like links, but it's out there. Marcy Mallard, look it up. You can find their stuff and, see all the sexy things.
It's inappropriate. It's rude. It's unholy. Don't look it up.
Make sure to, use an incognito tab like a person who's smart. And then also, give us a like. We also appreciate suggestions. So if you have any adult gaming suggestions of games you've really enjoyed lately that you think we should talk about, or if you know any other writers, game devs, voice actors, or whatever else who might want to be interviewed or might have a project that they're working on, let us know about them. And that way we can make more cool content. But thanks so much, Marcy, for joining us today. It was really cool getting to learn a little bit more about the actual writing side of things, since we don't always get to talk about that.
Sorry, I was looking at Dota chests again. Huh? You're so welcome. That's okay. Thank you for having me. Sorry I sound like a serial killer. Gender is weird. No, it's been very fun. Thank you so much for both being very welcoming and understanding of what I am.
And with that, we will see you all next time on the Sexy Business Podcast. Bye, everybody.